invest in and follow principles. That has proved to be pretty successful.
This landlord's gonna make almost $2 million over the next 12 years for doing something one time. And that's like residual. This guy's got another 7 retail spaces and he's got 10 stories of apartments above it. And I'm like, man, I'm on the wrong side of the coin, right? I need to own real estate, not broker it.
You start doing deals that are absolutely life-changing, like that put you on the path for intergenerational wealth.
Welcome to the Real Estate Home Runs podcast. I am your host, Louis Van der Horst. This is a podcast for busy professionals who want to learn about passive income producing strategies that have helped others crush it in the real estate world. Whether you are a new or seasoned real estate investor, this is the podcast for you.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Home Runs podcast, everyone. I am super excited to have Roman, Scarpa, and Jay Morales here. I like their energy. I like their passion for real estate. They're young and vibrant couple and really active on social media. And that is actually how I connected with them. I think they have a good story to share with everyone. So I'm excited to have them here. Thank you guys for joining me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here. We've been looking forward to it. Jay was actually the one that said that you had reached out and wanted her to be on the podcast, and she told me about it and we were excited. So
awesome. Yeah. And I'm glad that the two of you were available to do this because it's going to be good.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So tell us a little bit about your background and what you did before real estate and what you guys do now.
So me and Mike met in college and we moved in together, all the normal stuff, and started our 9-to-5 jobs. I am a real estate paralegal.
And I am an accountant, but lo and behold, that is actually going to be coming to an end in the next couple months. And Jay's already came to an end.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting.
Yeah. So it's wild. We met at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. But prior to that, I grew up in North Jersey outside of Manhattan. Grew up in a real cultural Italian family, like old school, big family dinners every Sunday. That's how I grew up. And my parents had a couple rental properties growing up, but I actually never wanted to do it. You know, it was my parents ran it very old school, like mom pop style. And I was like, nah, never going to get into real estate. No way. This is not for me. And then now we're here.
And then me on the other side, I was born in Puerto Rico. I'm originally from Lancaster, PA. My parents didn't have real estate. They weren't really financially financial literacy. They weren't really aware of. So all of that came with college, meeting Mike. I learned a lot as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. It's been a ride and it's been fun. We met through a mutual friend our junior year.
Yeah.
And we've been together since. So it's been like 5.5 years now.
So fast forward when we moved in, you know, all the fun stuff with, you know, got our first apartment. And then we kind of were just like, okay, now we're in our first apartment, 1 bedroom. We are definitely overpaying. And we started to look around and we learned about gentrification in school. And as many know, Philly is really getting gentrified. So we were like,
Yep.
Can we get a piece of this pie?
Yeah. And it's interesting that instead of like, oh, like, why is this happening? I don't want anything to do with it. You're like, oh, you know what? This is attainable. I can be part of it too. And real estate is one of those things that anybody can be part of it. That's what I like about it.
Absolutely. It was crazy because when we moved into the apartment, you know, we were so excited. And for the first year, that's actually how we wound up getting our dog Roman. Let's wind it back a little bit. We started our business officially last year. It's called Roman for Homes. And the way that we got our name is back in 2020, when the whole pandemic happened, we started working from home and we're like, let's get a doggy. So, so we got a dog and they found him roaming the streets of Philly. He was a rescue dog and we rescued him. So we were like, what are we going to name him? And I don't know. The way that I speak from being in North Jersey, I don't say the G on the end of roaming. So she was like, why don't we call him Roman? So we named him Roman and our color scheme is orange. He's a red-nosed pit bull. And that's kind of how the whole business came together. Roman for homes. We're searching for homes and helping people get out of situations and stuff. But yeah, man, it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah. It gives it that personal touch to be able to, you know, connect it to the dog. And the dog is part of, I guess, family for you guys. So to incorporate that with the real estate is pretty cool. And yeah, it's purposeful. I feel like we never stop looking for deals as investors.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Always roaming. Awesome. And how did you guys take that leap of faith? Yeah, you became aware of the lack of financial literacy and you saw the gentrification. What helped you take that step?
I think really both of us looked at each other and we said, when we got to our second apartment, we were like, okay, we got a bigger apartment for less. Awesome. This is great. And then we realized like how much we were spending and how much we were going to spend over the term of the lease. And we're like, this is crazy. Why are we going to pay the landlord all this money that goes towards nothing? And we looked at each other and said, we're going to work until the day that we die. If we continue this route, if we don't find another way. So what we did was we just looked at each other and we said, let's figure something out. So we just started writing down a bunch of things that we can do on the side. We Ubered for a while. We were Lyft drivers, both of us. We just made extra money. And then Jay, being a real estate paralegal, she went to a conference one day with a bunch of realtors with Keller Williams. And one of the realtors and her hit it off. So we wound up hiring her and just said, hey, we may be looking for a rental property. And from there, it was like a 6-month process between the time we hired her and the time we got our first rental property. Mm-hmm. We started reading a bunch of books, really asking a million questions, involving ourselves on social media with different groups, like-minded investors, bigger pockets, just talking to people everywhere. It was, when people say actually take action, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the bank and buy a house. It means that you can talk to people, meet up with people. We both went up and met up with people for coffee and just pick their brains.
Explore your different opportunities out there.
Exactly.
Good. So
if there's any piece of advice how to get started, it's definitely that. Really, and from there, we decided to search in a small section of Philly. It's mainly a Puerto Rican Hispanic neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Wow. Go figure. Go figure. And we wound up landing this nice little single family row home. It's 3-bed, 1-bath. And we did a low money down loan through a local community. And that was our first rental. And ever since then, we got completely addicted. It was just been craziness.
Fun fact, we still talk to the owner of that single family, and he absolutely loves it.
Yep. And he is a huge investor in Philly, and he's retiring. Go figure, he's Puerto Rican. He's going back to Puerto Rico. And he has 15 units. And he said when he retires, we get first dibs, which is kind of awesome. It's just, we were at his family dinner for Easter last year. It's cool. We're like, became family.
So when Mike says we fell in love with the whole process. So building that rapport with the seller, just being in communication with people, really helping them. It was his first step into, retiring. So he's offloading properties. So that was fun to kind of just talk to him and get to know what his journey was like.
Yep.
So there's many different ways that you can diversify yourself in investing.
That's good. And something key that you guys mentioned is the importance of community and networking. And I used to be an outsider and be quite honestly, judge investors or judge people that were landlords and stuff without realizing how giving the community is when it comes to resources and knowledge and empowering others to be financially independent. I attended the meetups too, the groups online. That's how I got started. And it really helped me out a lot.
You remember that one meetup we went to? It was way up in North Philly on a Tuesday night. This was our first time ever.
You guys were determined.
Yeah. It was way up there. It was at this little church and it was a group of 20 people.
Yeah.
We were extremely uncomfortable, but it was the first time we ever attended anything. And it was pretty cool. We met people, we were talking, had no idea what we were doing or talking about, but it was so cool to be there. And I don't know, you just sparked an idea. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, get a feel of the real estate community.
Yep.
Awesome. And it's a win-win with that investor. He wanted to be closer to his retirement. You guys wanted to get started. It's a win for him. It's a win for you. Yeah. So that's a great way to get started.
Absolutely. And that one we actually found on the MLS. That one we went through the realtor and we did just the normal way. We didn't really know any way else at that time.
Yeah.
So
awesome. And what are you guys doing now? I know some creative financing, wholesaling.
Absolutely. You want me to
go
start?
ahead. That's your bread and butter.
So actually, there was a time and period where we were figuring out from the first time we bought our rental up until about last April. So April 2021, there was about 5 months in there where we were just testing the waters with everything. We tried mailers. We tried cold calling, we tried pulling lists. We were just trying to figure out what we wanted. We didn't know at all. We tried partnering up with somebody to do a flip, and I was going to find private money and he was going to do the work, and that never worked out. So we were all over the spectrum. And then we went to a meetup with like-minded investors on Instagram, and we were doing like kind of like speed dating, going around the room, like, or around Zoom at the time, and talking to people. And we wound up meeting our current coaches, Jen and Joe Delafave. And from there, it just exploded. We wound up joining their course, and they taught us about creative finance and wholesaling, and really just changed our whole perspective on everything.
Yeah.
And made us really think bigger than what we wanted to do. We thought we were never going to retire from our full-time jobs for 10 years. And we did it in one. So right now we're buying creative deals. So subject to seller financing, wraparound mortgages, novation. And then we're basically just keeping anything that fits our buy box, or like that fits our criteria, all throughout the state of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And anything that doesn't, we assign to other investors all around the country. We just assigned a deal to a guy in Italy, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, that was awesome. He called me from a foreign number. I was like, "Where are you, man?" He was like, "Oh, I'm in Rome." I was like, yeah, awesome.
The power of the internet and social media too. Yeah,
absolutely.
So for those people that are like, what's creative financing? What is a creative deal? Is this something artistic? Can you break it down for them to understand it? And I know, yeah, you mentioned sub two, a wraparound mortgage. You could pick one or two, whatever, and explain what that looks like.
So a little backtrack a little bit. We both looked at each other when we were investing. We were like, there has to be a quicker way for us to scale.
Not saving 20% down every time.
Yeah. So that's when we met Jen and Joe, and they told us what their mentorship would entail, and we fell in love. So we invest with no banks and not using our credit and not using our own money. So seller financing is basically when you come to an agreement with a seller and you make them monthly payments instead of going to a bank.
And really the way that it works too is that legally the deed gets transferred to us, but the sellers are the bank, right? So they hold a note or a mortgage, and we say we agree upon $100,000 purchase price. We pay them $100 a month, and those payments go towards that for a set period of time. The awesome thing is that we're buying houses with no money down, 0% interest rates for some of them 25 years. So we're making up our own terms outside of what the bank would, and we're really just buying houses with closing costs. So we're buying real estate with $4,000 or $5,000 out of pocket, which is really has helped us go from zero. Back in July or June of last year, we had done only 1 or 2 deals, and we have now successfully closed 7, and we'll be closing our 8th deal on Friday.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy, just that whole thing. And then our other baby is subject to, which is really what we have been hitting hard lately. So for those of you guys who don't know what subject to is, it's a very simple concept. Say you're talking with a seller and they owe way too much on their home, basically for what the home is worth, and they need to sell quick. Maybe they can't afford the house, or they just don't care about trying to put it on the MLS and breaking even, or maybe losing money. So what we do is we go to closing, the deed gets transferred to us, and we wind up making the payments for their mortgage directly to the bank on their behalf. So the mortgage stays in their name. And again, great way to get into real estate, no money down, closing costs only. And a lot of times these subject to houses are completely turnkey, like really beautiful houses. And that's really the key, is that we're getting into the game with little to no money out of pocket for a beautiful house that needs no rehab.
I do want to say, like, a lot of people are like, well, why would people want to do this? Why would people want to just hand over basically their mortgage and you make their payments? Well, we're solving a problem. We're solving a problem for the seller. And even when we're doing seller financing, just making the payments to the seller, it may be that they're out of state, they moved out of the state and they don't want anything to do with the house, but have time. So we're just creating win-win situations for everyone.
And now another cool thing is that on the backside, instead of just putting a long-term tenant in there, because after our first tenant in our long-term rental in Philadelphia, she's been great, but we realized we don't want to be an adult babysitter, is kind of what a landlord can be sometimes, in the nicest way possible we could put it. So we were like, what's the best way? And then working with Jen and Joe, they taught us how to sell rent to own. So we buy creatively and we actually sell the home creatively, which is pretty cool. So on the back end, we sell the home on a lease option, which means that the people that move in, the family, they get to do whatever they want to the home. We treat them as homeowners, but we still collect monthly cash flow and we don't have any responsibility. And we also ask for a down payment instead of a security deposit. So all the money we put into the house with closing costs, we usually get back with their down payment.
And we also, don't forget, we also work with their credit. So we are helping renters become homeowners, and we put them through a credit repair program if they need that.
Yep.
Awesome. And something just to add on to what you guys share, a benefit to sellers is that they can defer their capital gains tax and not have to pay it all right off the bat, which can be quite a major surprise for some sellers, not knowing that they can get hit with that on the back end. But yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome. So yeah, the sub two, the taking over, and the rent to own program, those are great. You could go into a deal without any of your money, and you're also kind of mitigating your risks, which is good. How long is the process from when you guys enroll someone on a rent to own? Do you have a time frame of when you would like to sell them by, or?
So it really depends on the home and whoever applies for the home.
Yeah, we basically gauge our tenants off of the term we get with the house. So with one of our houses, we have a 5-year term until we need to get the seller paid in full. So we found a tenant who needs very little credit repair, and we use a third-party company called Screen the Tenant to actually screen the tenant, do all the background checks, the financial stuff. They have an in-house credit repair program, and they have their own mortgage company. So it's all in one. They help the tenant from start to finish. And it really just depends, like I said, on the house. So for the one house, from the day that they got applied and they showed their proof of income and they went through the whole process, the following week, they were in the house with the key in their hand, and we had a $15,000 down payment in our hand, and we recouped all of our money that we put into it, and our cash on cash was infinite at that point, and they're looking to cash us out in about a year and a half. So there's upside and downside, as we do lose the cash flow eventually. They're not a house that we keep forever, but on the back end, we did upcharge the house, right? So we do also make the spread between what we bought it for and what we sold it for. So we get the down payment, cash flow, and then a big back end check, like a flip. So it's just a way to get as much profit out of the house as possible, be able to help a family in need, and also help a seller. So it's kind of one big way to make it work for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. And to expand on something that Mike mentioned, for those of you listening, infinite return. And what that means is that you're going into a deal with none of your money, and you're already making a profit from it for as long as you keep the property. So that's what it means by infinite return. If you keep that property for a long time, that's going to be income coming in, and it's a pretty powerful vehicle. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are there any risks for investors, perhaps, or things to look out for?
So there is a specific way with seller financing. It's a little bit easier because it's just a mortgage. The risk really is that if you miss a payment, the seller can take the home back from you, and you forfeit the home. That's part of an agreement. The second thing with sub 2 is if you're a non-experienced investor and you don't really know the process, you really need to have a good lawyer who understands sub 2. Not all lawyers do, and some lawyers actually are against it. But when you do find your lawyer that does understand it, they're going to tell you a few key things. One of them is that we buy all of our homes in a land trust. The beneficiary is the LLC. This is kind of high level stuff, but the reason that it is risky is because the bank can call the loan due, which means you'd have to pay the loan in full. So that is like the one main thing when it comes to seller financing and creative that is definitely risky. But other than that, it is pretty straightforward as long as you have a solid lawyer. And then with rent to own, it's just screening the tenant, just as you would with any other rental. But we outsource it just to make it easier on us, and the tenants actually are the ones who pay for it. So it's free to us. It's $50 for them, and they get everything.
Mike, you've made it seem a little scary there, but
Sorry.
I want to say that, when we talked to our lawyer, and obviously we brought all these concerns up, she reiterated, if you make the payments, if you're not late, if you have good systems and processes in place and you do not miss a payment, that loan will never be called due, because the bank, all they care about is getting their money.
Yep.
That's what I hear too. Yeah.
It's just really about making sure before you dive into anything, right? Like you're not going to go and sign up to run a marathon without training. So it's getting yourself prior or training yourself beforehand. And as long as you do that, it's as easy as anything else. And for anybody who is interested, you guys are always more than welcome to reach out to us and ask us any questions you do have. But
yeah, if you reach out to us in our Instagram or even Facebook, we'd be happy to chit chat with you about it more, see if it's something that you would be interested, or maybe even wholesaling. I mean, we didn't really touch upon, we wholesale cash deals, but we also wholesale these creative deals. So we do a little bit of both.
Yep. And the awesome part about that is that with these creative deals, it's way more favorable to investors. Investors love them way more than they do cash deals, which to surprise, we didn't really know that until we started. And at the moment, we basically assign everything. We actually were just talking, we need to buy another house because we haven't kept anything, but we've been assigning everything and investors love them. Everybody, it's beneficial for creative deals because again, these investors can get in the door with very little to no money. And as long as you understand how to negotiate a creative deal, anybody can do it. Yeah. It's very simple.
Awesome. Let's take a little spin now and see what kind of advice you guys will share with other young couples that are in real estate or looking to get started. Finding someone or marrying to someone that has the same vision as you can be a challenge at times. If you're going one direction and they want to go another direction, what has helped you guys be like, okay, you know what, you are good at this, maybe you should focus in this department. I'm good at this, maybe I can do. I see Jay laughing there.
Yeah.
So we stay in our lanes.
You literally nailed it.
We stay in our lanes. It was not easy at first because obviously we both wanted to learn everything. We're very curious. We both expected each other to just jump in and we do jump in and help each other out when one of us is swamped. But for the most part, you can see Mike is the numbers guy. You can talk to him all day about the numbers. Me, on the other hand, I'm a very creative person. I like the legal side. So I do all the marketing, basically the transaction stuff on the back end, organization, because he's not too good at that.
Strengths and weaknesses, people. Strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, that's right. Complementing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's it. Really, communication is the biggest thing. When we do need help, it's just kind of talking to each other and saying, hey, can you help me with this? I need this.
We would not be where we are today if we didn't work together and figure out a way to communicate. We told each other starting the business together, we said, this is either going to make or break us. This is really the test to see if we're meant to be. And lo and behold, I wound up proposing after starting the business. So it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely just like anything, communication.
And a piece of advice for anybody to get started, just involve yourself. It doesn't matter if involving yourself means reading books. It doesn't matter if it means podcasts. It doesn't necessarily just mean that you have to attend meetups. It could be anything where you're just learning about something new. Again, we started our journey almost 2 years ago now, and we're where we're at now because of just continuously learning and taking action and talking to new people about everything, right? So we tried hard money. We never used it, but we talked to bankers about hard money. We thought we were going to do private and all kinds of stuff, just learning the whole thing. And then that's when we found our niche, is really when after a while, it just kind of happened because we fell into the position, right? And it's not about, I need to know what I'm going to do next week. I don't need to know what I'm going to do next week or tomorrow. It's just about taking that action, and you will find it. You will get there. Be patient and trust the process.
And circling back a little bit is, even if your significant other doesn't want to be a part of that journey, don't let that discourage you. Keep pushing, and eventually they're going to eyebrow raise and be like, all right, how you doing this? So keep pushing, take action. I think that's the biggest thing I have to say.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. As we're wrapping up here, what are 3 things that have helped you guys hit real estate home runs, whether mindset or strategies, processes, whatever?
I think it's letting go of your ego is one big thing. That is huge. We both don't really have big egos to begin with, but we have seen people that we've worked with in the past where the ego is really just completely just stop them at a wall. And if it's anything that we can say is that that's one main thing. I think the second thing is not getting shiny object syndrome. So not worrying about what everybody else is doing and the next big thing. If you go on every different Facebook page, there's always going to be the next big thing. But as long as you focus on what you want and what you see, you will always be successful in that. And there always is going to be the next Tesla or the next Ferrari, right? The next strategy that comes out.
Before you go to the third, just a little tidbit of a wall that we hit. We were actually under contract on a house for 180 days on our house hack.
Yep.
We moved in with his mom for just a month.
We thought it was just going to be
just a month. And we ended up living with his mom for 7 months.
Yes.
So
quite a difference.
Yeah. So just kind of, we were seeing everyone else doing, different things. We're like, we're going to get our house, keep eye on the prize, eye on the prize, eye on the prize. But you do have setbacks.
Yep. And then I would definitely say is taking action is the last one. Is there, you can read as many books as you want. You can talk to as many people as you want. But if you don't take action, you're going to stop there. So just believe in yourself.
You need to make mistakes.
Yep. Make mistakes. And
mistakes are a good thing.
Try. Just try.
That's how we learn.
Yep.
And if we don't take those actions, then everything we learn is useless because
Absolutely.
We're not putting it into practice. So how can people stay in contact with you guys, learn about what you're up to?
So our Instagram handles are Roman with Mike and Roman with Jay. And then our Facebook, obviously, Jae Morales, Mike Scarpa, and then our Roman for Homes
Facebook page. And then our second Facebook page is RFH Rent to Own, which is where we have all of our rent to own homes and stuff. So we got a couple businesses. If you guys want to reach out, more than happy to talk with anybody on any social media platform. And then we can obviously set up a call and go from there. But like we said, we started out and we were in the beginning stages at some point, and we'd love to be able to help somebody get past that wall and really break free.
And we are also hiring. So if anyone would like to join our team, we are also hiring.
Yep. And you will learn everything we're doing. And at the same time, you'll make money.
Yep.
So pretty cool.
Awesome. So what position are you hiring for? What would that entail for those people that are like, oh, I want to work with them, they sound cool? Or
Sure. So one of the positions is basically fishing for leads, kind of reeling them in and how to negotiate and how to just set up a deal, what a deal looks like, stuff like that.
And then the other side is disposition. So we are basically doing all that ourselves. So that is the other side of the business, which is actually just as important as bringing the leads in. If we have a rent to own home, trying to help find a tenant buyer for that. If we have a wholesale deal, trying to find a buyer for that. And
it's just as fun because you talk to a lot of people. And
we also will teach you the whole process though, because you need to know that in order to get rid of the deal. So got a couple positions open. We're actively growing. We just added 3 new people this week to the team, and we're looking to make this happen.
And we would love to give back to the investor community who's just starting off.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this, and I'm sure my audience found this very valuable.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
We hope you enjoyed this interview and got some value out of it to help you in your real estate investing journey. If you can take just a minute, please do us a favor and leave a review. Hit the like button on iTunes or whatever platform you listen to our podcast on, and subscribe so you can hear future episodes. Also, don't forget to check out our Real Estate Home Runs Podcast Community Facebook group, where you are able to connect with some great listeners. If you're an investor who is crushing it and want to share some information centered around passive income in real estate, please contact us. Hit those home runs, and we will see you next time.